Hi again, everyone. Need a boost to get you through hump day? How about the fact that we'll have 1 versus 2 in Class 3A live on Midco Sports on Friday night. The Shanley Deacons hosting the Cheyenne Mustangs. Watch it on your TV, or heck, get the Midco Sports Plus app on your phone and you can watch it right there. Okay, got the shameless plug out of the way. Now let's plug you in on some top performers and our game ball winner, sponsored by Farmers Union Insurance. The ball this week is going to the young man who quarterbacked his team to an upset of top-ranked North Prairie in overtime. New Rockford-Sheyenne-Maddock sophomore quarterback Easton Simon played the game of his life. We'll show you his performance in a bit. But first, let's show you the rest of the best that made this week's top performers list. He's been on here once before and he's back for more. Maple River speedster Carter Bosch was a touchdown machine in Friday night's win over Larimore. 4 scores on the ground and 1 through the air as he passed by the Polar Bears. North Border hung up 54 points in a win over St. John to move to 3-1 on the year. The Eagles with a big game by Grant Cosley, who passed for 3 scores and rushed for 4 more. A lucky 7 touchdowns and a couple of interceptions on defense to boot. All-star performance from Grant. He's one of those guys that seems to be good at everything he tries. Great basketball player and golfer as well. Javin Freeze has been on this list so much that he should probably be a sponsor by now. He already has some hardware from us, but made a strong case for more. Mr. Freeze was ripping off big runs like they were on sale Friday night. He had 3 scoring runs that were 45-plus yards. He finished with 30 carries for 290 yards and 5 touchdowns. He added 104 passing yards and made 6 tackles on defense against a previously unbeaten Linton HMB Strasburg-Zeeland team. It was one heck of a bounce-back win for the Storm after losing to South Border the week before. And now Freeze and his teammates get a crack at the top team in the state and a massive rival in New Salem-Alma. We'll have highlights and reaction under the shadow of Salem Sioux on Friday night on Varsity Sports Live. What in the heck happened in Devil's Lake on Friday night? Bryson Heck happened. The Valley City junior quarterback passed for 250 yards and a trio of scores while adding another tutty on the ground. Heck has helped lead the Highliners to a 3-0 start, setting up a battle of unbeatens Friday at Hannah Field against Dickinson. From Heck to Henke, as in Carter Henke of Bismarck High. Did you see the deja vu night that this Demon senior had? Quinn Hafner throwing across the field to Henke for a score, not once, but twice on pretty much identical plays. Those were Henke's only 2 catches in the night, and he housed both of them to finish with 125 yards receiving. He also rushed for 70 yards and a score on a Davies defense that had been stingy all year. Bismarck has won 2 straight and looking like a contender following last year's winless season. West Fargo's Leighton Hofflin ran himself into a tasty treat when he was named our Sandy's Donuts player of the game on Friday. Hofflin reached the end zone for a trio of scores while going over 100 yards on the ground in the victory over Legacy. He gave the Packers some really good balance to the offense all night and added a couple of tackles and a fumble recovery on defense. He's getting a free donut for his efforts, so congrats to Double Deuce from West Fargo. We have a North Border player on the list and a South Border player. Senior Connor Koziak representing these Mustangs with pride. He missed all of last year with an injury, but he's making up for lost time. In Friday's win over Hettinger County, Koziak took 13 carries for 132 yards and 3 scores. He also added a receiving touchdown and completed his only pass attempt. He might have been even more impressive on defense, where he intercepted not 1, not 2, but 3 passes, including a circus catch on his back. He was in on a 4th turnover, too, with the fumble recovery. Have yourself a day, Connor. Glad you're back and healthy and doing what you love. South Border trying to move to 5-0 this week. We've got a baller from Beach on this list. The Bucks may not have won on Friday night, but they gave a really good Kidder County team everything they could handle in a 42-30 loss. Freshman Sawyer Knoll rushed for 1 score and caught 7 passes for 197 yards and 3 more touchdowns. He caught those passes from his brother Emery, who was making his first varsity start. Well, people at West Fargo Cheyenne are thinking, well, that sounds familiar. A similar thing happened on their field Friday night as Cheyenne junior quarterback Caden Olson stepped in for injured starter Caleb Deere and put up impressive numbers in his varsity debut, leading the Mustangs to a victory over Bismarck Century. Olsen completed 22 of 29 passes for 274 yards and 3 scores, while adding another touchdown on the ground. Caden hooked up with his older brother Noah, a senior receiver, early to gain some confidence in that game. They connected several times, including once for a touchdown. As we mentioned earlier, Cheyenne gets a crack at number 1 Shanley this week in a game you can watch live on Midco Sports. Can't wait. Carrington continues to stack wins. The Cardinals improved to 3-1 behind Logan Wenninger's performance at Thompson Friday night. Logan turned 17 carries into 138 yards and a pair of scores. He also was a tackling machine on defense. You might remember Wenninger's name from the track season. He was the one who dove for the win across the finish line in the Class B 400-meter dash to edge his opponent by 3/100ths of a second. He's certainly a guy that's not afraid of some bumps and bruises. So there are your top performers, another outstanding list, and keep those nominations coming each week, because without all of you, this game ball and the top performers list, not possible. So thank you. All right, on to the winner of this souvenir presented by our friends at Farmers Union Insurance. They had the biggest win of the night on Friday. New Rockford-Sheyenne-Maddock, not invited to the top 5 party yet this year. Well, that's going to change. The Rockets beat the door down by stunning top-ranked North Prairie on the road 36-34 in overtime. Sophomore quarterback Easton Simon helped the team rally from a 13-point deficit in the fourth quarter to force overtime and eventually win it in the extra frame. Simon completed 23 of 34 passes for a whopping 384 yards and 4 touchdowns, including the game winner. Simon hung in there and took some big hits from North Prairie's standout defensive line, led by future Bison Nate Tastet. Shout out to the rest of his squad as well. Easton Benz was outstanding, making 7 catches for 121 yards and 2 scores. Logan Maddock had over 100 receiving yards. Connor Natterud with a big game. You make sure that ball gets shared around the locker room. And because it worked last week in getting a helmet from Kindred, here's my call out to New Rockford-Cheyenne. A Rockets helmet would sure look good in this studio. Just saying. We're getting close to 50 helmets. That's a shout out for any other teams hoping to be represented here as well. We'll have some of those lids on display Friday night once again for Varsity Sports Live at 10:30 on Midco Sports, part of a big night for us, which includes Cheyenne versus Shanley coming up at 7 o'clock. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great week.